He's a survivor.
Hey everyone, welcome. Today we are going to dive into some of the most iconic cartoons from our childhoods. We'll be revisiting the very first episodes of Powerpuff Girls, What's New Scooby Doo, Dexter's Laboratory, and Courage the Cowardly Dog. These shows didn't just entertain us, they shaped our imaginations and maybe even how we see the world today. As we go through each episode, I'll be ranking them based on how well they still hold up. But here's where you come in. I want to hear from you. As you watch, drop your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you agree with my ranking? Which episode is your favorite? I'm planning on making it first episode of a series where I review 4 episodes from different TV series, so I would love to know which cartoon, anime or series would you like me to cover next. Let's get a real conversation going down there. Trust me, you'll want to stick around until the end to see where each episode lands on the list. Now let's get into it. Let's talk about What's New Scooby Doo. This was a show that brought Scooby and the gang into the 21st century with a fresh new look and updated technology. The first episode, There's No Creature Like Snow Creature, aired on September 14, 2002, and like most Scooby Doo episodes, it's around 22 minutes long. This episode kicks off with gang heading to a ski resort for what's supposed to be a relaxing getaway. But in true Scooby-Doo fashion, they find themselves in the middle of a mystery involving a giant snowman terrorizing the resort. Now, if you're a fan of classic Scooby-Doo, you'll recognize all the familiar beats here. Fred is setting up traps, most of which don't work out as planned. Velma is the brain of the operation, piecing together the clues. Daphne is somehow still staying stylish even in the freezing cold, and Shaggy and Scooby are doing their best to avoid the monster while scarfing down as much food as possible. But what makes What's New Scooby-Doo stand out is how it updates these characters and scenario for a new generation. The animation is cleaner, the pacing is a bit quicker, and there's more emphasis on technology. Velma's using a laptop to research, and Fred's traps are a bit more high-tech. Even the theme song got a punk rock makeover thanks to Simple Plan, which definitely gives the show a more modern vibe. The episode is a fun watch, filled with the usual mix of humor and mild scare that makes Scooby-Doo so timeless. The snowman turns out to be a guy in a costume trying to scare people away for his own gain, classic Scooby-Doo, but the journey to the unmasking is filled with funny moments and clever twists that keep you entertained from start to finish. Now let's take a quick detour. If you have seen the recent Velma show, you might be wondering what happened to Scooby-Doo formula. Where's the fun? Where's the mystery? And most importantly, where's the heart? Because What's New Scooby-Doo manages to update the series without losing the essence of what made it great in the first place. It's light, it's funny, and it doesn't take itself too seriously, which is exactly what you want from a Scooby-Doo show. If you're looking for a mystery-solving fix with all the Scooby-Doo charm you remember, this episode is a great place to start. It got all the ingredient of classic Scooby-Doo adventure with just enough modern twist to keep things fresh. Moving on, let's talk about Dexter's Laboratory, one of the most unique and beloved shows to come out of Cartoon Network lineup. The first episode, which includes the segment D-Dimension and Magnanimous, aired on April 28, 1996. With each part running about 7 minutes, giving us a total of 14 minutes of pure Dexter genius. In D-Dimension, we see Dexter's secret lab for the first time, a place that every kid dreamed of having, a massive underground complex filled with the most advanced tech imaginable, all hidden behind a bookcase in Dexter's room. Plot revolves around Dexter working on his latest invention. But the things go awry when his sister Dee Dee sneaks into the lab and accidentally sends herself to another dimension. What's fascinating about this episode is how it captures the sibling dynamic. Dexter, the boy genius, is constantly trying to maintain order and control in his lab, while Dee Dee, with her carefree and chaotic nature, is always messing things up. It's a classic case of brain versus chaos, and it's something that so many of us can relate to, whether you were the Dexter or the Dee Dee in your family. The humor in Dexter's Laboratory is sharp and often leans toward the absurd, which is part of its charm. The show doesn't shy away from being ridiculous, whether it's Dexter's over-the-top invention or Dee Dee's blissful ignorance of the havoc she's causing. The second part of episode, Magnanimous, takes a different turn, with Dexter facing off against a giant lava monster. This segment is more action-packed, with Dexter trying to outsmart the creature with his own inventions. The contrast between the two segments, one focusing on sibling dynamic and the other on Dexter's scientific escapades, perfectly encapsulates the show's ability to balance different tones and themes. What makes Dexter's Laboratory stand out is its ability to be both incredibly smart and incredibly silly at the same time. It's a show that celebrates intelligence and curiosity while also poking fun at the absurdities of being a kid. After rewatching these early episodes, it's clear Dexter's Laboratory still holds up as one of the most clever and innovative cartoons of all time. Now let's go to the Powerpuff Girls, a show that needs no introduction. This show was an absolute game changer when it first aired. The first episode, Monkey See, Doggies Do, premiered on November 18, 1998 and runs for about 22 minutes. If you remember, this episode was all about Mojo Jojo, the genius villain with the exposed brain causing chaos in Townsville with a spell that turns everyone into dogs. So let's break it down. The episode kicks off with Professor Utonium's accidental creation of the Powerpuff Girls, Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup, when he mixes chemical X into his sugar, spice, and everything nice concoction. Right from the get-go, you see the dynamic between these three characters, each with their distinct personalities. Blossom is the strategic leader, Buttercup is the muscle who's always ready to throw down, and Bubbles is the adorable but fierce heart of the group. Mojo Jojo's plan in this episode is both ridiculous and genius, which pretty much sums up his character throughout the series. He steals a magical artifact that turns people into dogs, hoping to rule the city of canines. The girls, of course, are onto him immediately, and what follows is a series of classic Powerpuff Girls action sequence complete with bright colors, dynamic poses, and a lot of high-flying punches. One of the most memorable part of this episode is how it introduces us to the world of the Powerpuff Girls. The animation style is so vibrant and fluid, mixing old-school comic book vibes with a modern, almost punk rock edge. The humor is sharp, with quick one-liners and clever visual gags that appeal to both kids, something that MCU did try to incorporate in their own movies. So I'm not saying Powerpuff Girls inspired them, I'm just saying it did it before them. Let's not forget about the music. The theme music is an absolute earworm. But beyond that, the episode's soundtrack is filled with energetic beats that perfectly complements the fast-paced action on screen. Every punch, every blast of laser vision, and every villainous laugh is punctuated by a sound that just fits. Rewatching this episode as an adult, it's easy to see why the Powerpuff Girls became such a beloved series. It's not just a show about superhero kids, it's about friendship, teamwork, and standing up for what's right. Finally, let's talk about Courage, the Cowardly Dog, the show that somehow managed to be both terrifying and heartwarming at the same time. The first episode, A Night at the Cat's Motel, aired on November 12, 1999 and runs for about 22 minutes. This show is the perfect blend of horror and humor, with Courage, the easily frightened dog, always finding himself in the middle of terrifying situations. In this episode, Courage and his owners, Muriel and Eustace, end up at the creepy Cat's Motel run by the sinister Cats. It doesn't take long for things to get weird. Turns out Cats has a swarm of giant spiders and he's planning to use them on his guests. Courage, of course, is terrified, but he's got to save Muriel and Eustace. One of the most striking things about Courage the Cowardly Dog is its animation style. It's dark, almost surreal, with a color palette that perfectly captures the eerie, unsettling atmosphere of the show. The character designs are weird and exaggerated, especially when it comes to the villain, who are often grotesque and terrifying in a way that you didn't see in other kids' show. What really makes the show stand out is Courage himself. He's constantly scared out of his wits, but he always finds the courage to protect his family. The show plays with the idea that being brave doesn't mean you are not afraid. It means doing what needs to be done despite facing your fear. And that's a message that I resonate with a lot. The episode is filled with suspense, with Courage sneaking around the motel trying to avoid the spiders and outsmart cats. The sound design adds to the tension with eerie music and creepy sound effect that makes every shadow and every creak feel ominous. But despite the horror elements, there's a lot of heart in Courage, the Cowardly Dog. Courage's love for Muriel, the kind-hearted old lady who took him in, is the driving force behind everything he does. And even though Eustace is always grumpy and mean to Courage, there's a sense that Courage would protect him too no matter what. A Night at the Cat's Motel is a perfect introduction to the world of Courage the Cowardly Dog. It's creepy, it's quirky, and it's full of dark humor that keeps you on the edge of your seat. And even if you're watching it years later, it's still just as effective at giving you chills. Alright, now that we have taken a trip down memory lane, it's time to rank these episodes. Remember, this is just my opinion, so I really want to hear yours in the comment section down below. Here's how I'd rank them. First one goes to Courage the Cowardly Dog for its unique blend of horror, humor, and heart. This episode is a standout that still holds up as both creepy and entertaining. Courage is just awesome. The second one goes to Dexter's Laboratory. It was really close between that and the third place, but yeah, this was the perfect mix of intelligence, sibling feud, and absurdity makes this episode a timeless classic. The third one goes to Powerpuff Girls. It's vibrant, action-packed, and full of charms. This episode is a great introduction to one of the most iconic shows of the late 90s. In the last place, it's What's New Scooby Doo. While it's a solid mystery episode, it didn't quite reach the same level of impact as the others on this list. But I know for a fact that there are better Scooby Doo episodes out there. This one was just a bit mid. That's just how I see it. How would you rank these episodes? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's keep the conversation going. And if you enjoyed the nostalgia trip, make sure to subscribe for more content like this. And see you next time, survivors.